Day 12 of the fast, February 12th, 9:11 p.m. Today went by really slow. And I think I know why. I actually started drawing today. Alright. It was like I just started facing my fear and needed to stay, find out where I stood. So I started with basic shapes first. Let me find the page. Give me a minute. Did a lot of ellipses in different directions just to see if I could get the motion down. And then moved on to complex shapes after that. And I think where I need to go is complex shapes, but maybe not in the way I'm thinking. Maybe I should start doing more impossible shapes just to get used to it. And also learn how to bend, stretch, and twist these so that I can actually create complex forms out of them. Like a human hand, or an arm, or a coffee mug. But yeah, today was full of victories, actually. I actually rekindled my drive and love for drawing, and like every time, which is why I'm so conflicted on it. And it's even though I'm so scared of it, it's when I do it, it just time seems to just not exist. It's crazy. That's why I think I'm supposed to be doing that. Nothing else really does that for me. Except when I'm doing art. Not to mention, when I'm doing art, I feel like there's never any need for words. Just, yeah. Usually, I want to find ways to talk through what I'm doing, or talking to myself, and sometimes I do that with art. But most of the time, I'm silent. I'm focused. And yeah, I just need to show up to the task every day, like I said yesterday. And I recommend that you do the same, for sure. But yeah, this is a good start. Unfortunately, I had to stop exercising for now because I didn't have money. I have a little bit of money now. I didn't get a full check, so that kind of sucks, but I should have enough to live off of for the week at least, which is better than I was doing. And going from there, this is honestly not a bad start. I'm further ahead than I originally thought. I do struggle with certain shapes still, but for the most part, I got it down. And that's probably from years of on and off practice. And this certainly isn't the best I've done. When it comes to shapes, I have a full diagram of cubes and faces, noses. I drew my headphones at one point, which at the time I thought they sucked, but honestly, it looks pretty good. But yeah, it's another thing I noticed too was that I'm gonna need a new sketchbook soon. Just I've actually almost filled this, right? Got really good at boxes at one point too. Yeah. Maybe I should stop approaching things so formulaically. Maybe that was kind of the problem. I always try to look for a formula, and I never just went for it. I just saw a lot of empty pages there, so yeah, it looks like I still got a lot of the sketchbook to fill. But I plan to have this relatively filled. I said yesterday that if there was something that you were really afraid of doing, then you should probably be doing it right now. And I still say that. And it could be anything, really. It may not even be your purpose, but the point is that you want to create that resistance. You want to create that resistance tolerance. There's whatever you want to do, learn music, read, write, draw, talk to someone. Is like, just go do it. Yeah, if you've never done it before, you'll definitely suck at it. I'm not gonna lie to you. It most likely, unless you were like given a God-given talent. And by the way, I do want to get back on that talent. Keep that a note. But it was like, unless you were given that God-given talent, and it was like most of like you're just gonna you'll suck at it at first. And that's okay. That's how everything works, you know? But when you find that one thing that just makes you feel like you belong, it's just nothing else really seems to matter. Nothing seems to matter. You could see yourself doing it over and over and over again. And it was like you no longer exist as you just kind of existing, doing your thing. And then you look up and realize the sun went down a while ago. And yeah. Or you're hungry. Like me, when I start something, I usually just like go through it and finish it, right? And then I'll look up like when I'm finished and realize I haven't eaten or drank anything for like 12 hours, which is not good. It's not a good practice to have. But that's just kind of how I work. It's kind of how my brain works. I'm working through it, trying to get better about that. Learn a little bit of maintenance so that way I'm not suffering every time I try to do something. But for the most part, I had a bunch of small victories today, and that's really important. That's why I started simple. I'm gonna start making that a habit. Like if I am not going to just not do something because it's hard. But if I'm struggling with something with a while and I'm just not getting it, before I leave, I will do something that I'm familiar with, that is quick, easy, and makes me feel good about that result. Then I'll come back with fresh eyes. That's kind of what art is. It's just constant struggle until things become more familiar. It really goes with any skill. Deep down, I knew that, but I just never had the courage to face it. And one could argue that, like, you're not talented or whatever, but see, the thing is that talent is not just a God-given gift. The only thing that talent really influences are three things, actually: your love for something, and the time, and your love for something influences the time you're willing to put into it, which gives you a lot of practice, which makes people think that you're talented, when really you just have hundreds of hours doing that thing. The second is some people just click with it easier, but that doesn't mean that talent is needed for anything, because like I said, talent can be influenced, but like some people do just kind of have that where their brain works a certain way that it clicks a little easier for them, so it just influences the amount of time that they have to put in, right? And the third thing is purpose. When it comes to talent, a lot of people, they feel like their purpose is in said talent. They don't care. They don't care about talent. They'll keep working at it. They'll keep struggling through it. And I think that's why I always come back. So no matter how hard, because I have tried to kick this, it's like no matter how hard I try to kick it, just keep coming back to it. It's like eventually I'll hit a wall and I'll be scared. But but it's been the one thing in my life that's been just consistently there. I tried music, and don't get me wrong, I liked music, but I probably haven't actually played or picked up an instrument in years, but I don't necessarily feel guilty about that in any capacity. But every time I leave art, I always feel guilty. It's, even today, like, I started doing this. I knew I had to work on my like 3D vision skill, which is basically just training my eye to see objects as 3D objects instead of, you know, flat objects like a square, but instead seeing it as a cube. I was also working on like trying to see the proportions of something, which is basically how big something is and how big it should be. And like, I almost got in trouble for work at work for it today because like I was really getting into it. I like had this pen. I had this pen, right? And I just like closed one eye and squinted the other. And I was just like tracing what I think the shape of that object would be as I was looking at it. It wasn't people, it was objects. I might have, if I didn't have a sketchbook in my hand, I might have freaked people out. That's why I elected not to do that. But I was getting really into it, and I was like leaning into it, trying to find like where everything meets, like trying to find the vanishing points, like where something disappears from view and where like all the points will intersect because of how the human eye works. I was just trying to do that, and I was trying to like, I was just tracing in the air the whole time. And I kid you not, like, it was the only thing I was focused on for a long time until somebody pulled me out of it. Coworkers were talking behind me, and people, like, there was a bunch of noise because I work in a grocery store, obviously. And just everything faded in that moment. I was only focused on that till I turned my name because I was like really leaning, and they thought I was like, you know, they thought I was falling asleep. But no, it was really in a trance almost. I actually forgot I was at work for a while. And then I found myself finding out the day was going by slow because I just wanted to go home and draw something. All day. I was like, man, I can't wait to go home and draw something. And now I'm too tired. Like, I'm a little bit tired. I'm gonna do it anyway because, like, if I go to bed with this feeling, I'm not gonna sleep well. So I'm gonna draw a bit. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. And you know, everybody works differently. I don't know if everybody can do that. But when that happens, it just feels right. It feels like all the pieces fall into place. That's why I'm so conflicted about it, because I have a love-hate relationship with it because I'm so scared to fail at it. So I still am. I'm still really scared to fail at it, or scared to find out that it wasn't it. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. And hopefully that fear will fade over time. But for now, a little bit stuck with it. It's like something that isn't necessarily fun, but just something that is right. I really hope with all my heart that it is what I'm supposed to be doing. And you know, I know there's plenty of ways to kill your passion about something, especially if you focus on it too much without structure, meaning, and also just breaks to have something fun. And sorry about the eye contact thing. I'm just like, I'm staring at my sketchbook. But do not, by any circumstances, let your perceived lack of talent, or whatever, do not let fear determine what you can and can't do. Because honestly, if I had conquered my fear years ago, I would not be talking to you here today. Like, that's not a sad thing. That would just mean that, you know, I would be ahead. I would be doing the thing that I'm supposed to do. You would already see my name in stories, and the name I'll be going by that is I'll tell you at the end after everything's done, so that you guys can follow me after this. And the content will be different. It'll probably be edited and stuff. This is only supposed to be like a journal. It's like me talking to myself in a mirror every single day, which is how I had to start with this mental health thing. To be honest with you, I had to start by like just telling myself nice things in the mirror, even if I didn't believe it. I noticed that the more I did it, even though it was really hard, because the self-hatred was really that deep, I noticed that I started to believe it. And then after that, the rest is history. I actually went to therapy for different things, not for like just lack of something, but more just to gain something. You know, to gain confidence, to gain everything. And now I'm pretty good at feigning confidence. And it's partially because I'm not feigning it. I actually am that confident most of the time. But I am also just starting out, so I might overdo it a little bit. It's just taking the time to figure myself out. Just do it. Really. It's like I know right now I probably have the rose tinted lenses on because I just started this again. It's like I fell in love with it all over again. But I know that if I just stay consistent, I might actually be able to. I might be able to like just impact the world. I might be able to mark the world. It's not even about legacy or anything else. I just don't want people to give up hope. You know? Misplaced hope is a dangerous thing, yeah. But like, so is lack of hope. So is lack of hope. So I'd hope we would become drones. Just robotic, formulaic, all the time. No soul. Because, yeah, if we didn't have hope, things just, like I said, it wouldn't have any meaning. And I really don't show my appreciation for this gift as much as I should. It bothers me each and every time. There's always a lot of things we have to do. There's a lot of things we feel we have to do. A lot of things we want to do. And some of us don't have it figured out, and that's all right. But don't let fear stop you from trying things. You're not going to be good at it at first. I wasn't. I mean, everybody started off with that like really weird childish drawing, right? And it was like, and our parents would always like put it on the fridge with the magnet. It was like telling us how good it was. Everybody had to start that way. Maybe you just need to be your own parent. I mean, if you have to go as far as to take something, put it on the magnet on your fridge, and be like, yeah, I did that. And I did good work too. This is a good start. Can't wait to see what'll happen if I continue doing it. Imagine. You have to imagine success, and you also have to have success to imagine success. And success can be very, very small. Right? If you can make like a small, like the tiniest win consistent in your life, eventually just eventually they won't be small anymore. It's important. It doesn't matter how young, how old you are. It's just important to make sure that fear does not influence anything you could do, unless it protects your life, like physically. But mentally, that fear is an illusion. It always has been, always will be. It's just a voice in the back of your head, just trying to keep you comfortable. And, you have to be uncomfortable to make progress. It's just the nature of things. It doesn't matter if you're addicted to something. It doesn't matter if you don't love yourself or anything. You have to be uncomfortable to get through it. Everything has to get worse before it gets better. I had to do, like, when I first started, honestly, the self-hatred got like even worse. As like the self-doubts were just setting in more and more. But eventually I found neutrality. And when I was neutral, I was able to become positive. And when I became positive, that is when I started actually caring about my future again. That's when I started like finding ways to force myself to be uncomfortable. That is when I started finding ways to force myself to be uncomfortable. And like it was like small things like cold showers, salt water, which actually made me throw up one time. I do not recommend salt water before going anywhere daily. I got that off a YouTube channel, and the guy does it, but like it made me actually sick. Like I had to stop the lift and like just puke outside the window. It was an awkward experience. And I told him about the salt water, and he was like, basically, yeah, you shouldn't do that. And then he recommended cold showers. And I was like, yeah, I tried cold showers. It was a fun time. I don't know who that dude was, But if you recognize my face, it was like, I remember you. I just want you to know that. It was, yeah, it was awkward, but it was funny. I just be uncomfortable. Whatever the minimum you can do to be uncomfortable, even if it's just sitting still for 5 seconds, right? Sitting still, staring blankly at one point for 5 seconds. If that's where you have to start, then start. Because that was actually one of the things that we lost in the modern society. And like, I'm only 27, so I won't get into the back in my day, blah, blah, blah. But I will say that I do know that a lot of the things we feel, a lot of the things we say we feel, they are illusions. Sometimes there are some mental things, like people in the past have told me that I might be a little autistic, but I refuse to get diagnosed because I don't want to use autism as an excuse. If I am fully diagnosed, I will be using that for everything. Awkward conversation that I want to get out of. Oh, I'm autistic. Like something I want to do. Oh, I'm autistic. Like it's just like, I'm not saying that's any way what you would do. I'm just saying that's what I would do. Because the way I work is when I allow one thing, always leads to others, and I feel like that's most people. ADHD. A lot of people, like my parent, well, mainly my mom, of course, will always say that I got ADHD from gaming, but nah, I think that was just in general. It might have started from gaming. Might have. But really, you could do that with anything. It's just ADHD is just a lack of focus, a lack of resistance. And I'm not saying it's not real, because it is, but I am saying it can be managed. It can be, yeah. Sometimes it can't, but you can use it in your favor. Like I said, I'll start a project. If I'm really passionate about that project, I will forget about everything else until it is done. And in some cases, that's good. Sometimes that's good, having that focus. Other times it's really bad because, like I said, I'll learn that I haven't eaten or drank anything for 12 hours, and then everything will catch up, and I'll practically be on the verge of passing out on my way to the sink to get water. But it's just all about how you think about things. And fear is definitely one of them. I wouldn't be saying this if I hadn't already gone through it myself and am not already doing it myself. I know it works because I've done it. I know it works because I've seen it work. It just, you have to move forward. You have to move forward. If you don't take it from me, I believe, not putting words in his mouth at all, I'm just making an educated guess. God wants you to move forward. Just do the thing that you were afraid of doing. Worry about the cost later. Worry about it after you've already done it. Don't over research it. Get just enough information to get started. Start there. Once you get to a certain point, then you can research more to get you to the next level. And repeat that process over and over and over. But I've learned that over information can kind of muddy things up a little bit. It makes it hard to focus on the task at hand. Just do it. I'm gonna keep saying that. It's like just do it. Figure out the bare minimum thing you can do for the thing that you want to do, and do that for the first day. Crank it up as the days go. Everybody has to start somewhere, but the important thing is that you keep showing up. And if you disappear for a little bit, that's fine. Just make sure you get back on it. Right? Just make sure you get back on it. That's the most important thing. If you get knocked down, you have to get back up. No matter what, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in order to make the progress that you want to make. There is no other way. I hate to tell you. There really is no other way. There is no shortcut. There's only more efficient ways to do it. But depending on your stage of life, the most efficient way for you to do it is probably different. I'll be honest with you. It was like, we ain't gonna do things like David Goggins, or honestly, that's the only guy I can come up with by name. It was like, we aren't gonna do that right away. That man was tempered by life and experience. And it's important to remember that. But you can maybe not replicate the same things he did, but you can at least get started. Just do it. It's the fear you're feeling is an illusion. The fear you keep finding, it doesn't exist. It's only something your mind comes up with because it doesn't have resistance yet. So train that resistance. You know? Unless it physically harms your health, and even then, just do it. And if it gets to the point where the risk to your health is extreme, I would say then you could probably, think about dialing it back a little bit, but you should still find ways to do it anyway. The point is that you show up to the task every day. Consistency is more important than the quality. For now. You can worry about quality later. Just get the habit going. Start it. If you want to exercise, start by doing a push-up. If you can't do a push-up, find something you can do. Or it's like to exercise, even if it's just walking. Just make sure you do it every day. Make sure you make it a point to just do it without question every day. And then as you get more familiar with it, just ramp it up until eventually you get to the goal you want. And sometimes you'll find out that you go a little too high. If that's the case, all you have to do is come back down. But just don't go back down to square one, unless you need to. But it's important to just keep doing it. I hope you all are taking care of yourselves. God bless y'all. Just remember what I said. And if you don't want to take it from me, there's many other people out there who would tell you to do it. And I follow them myself. But I want to give the message as blunt as possible. For somebody who's actually going through the process as we speak, just go ahead and do it.